Really, the potential they have is that they still weed out. With each blaze the former disease. Do not swallow anything that Satan tries to ram down your throat. Remember, Jesus always comes first. The end of book 1, the end of book 2, but book 3 is always beginning. Which way do you think is up on this earth? Intuit how the stars and clouds are lain out before us like a bountiful feast, a feast for the eyes, and to the mind of the beast like a museum, each stone a special piece. So, in order for you to insult me, I would first have to value your opinion. So don't tell me not to hate God. He gave me everything you see, and that which he didn't give so freely, I discovered on my own. Tell brave who led the beaver bald and Eves, that swell go as eagleless bow they who shall eat all of his tongue, his tears. Over breaking a stick, the bisexual goats that run, the rock tumble landslide. He became a boulder and was talked to by Hasina, learned of his father inside, because nothing is alive and true as is be your cue. In loving our do, simply put, poets have a very dangerous profession, and poetesses even more. Our life expectancy is just right about at 34. We bathe in ghost grass that lines all the meadows we see, perfect circles of squares and dreams of grammatical trigonometry. Not all ghosts are humans, my friend. Please think deeply. Voiceless, nameless Edwards say the meek shall inherit the earth, which is not a very meek thing for the meek to say. Hovering infinite, but then, what is stable? A graph, a line, a recommended time for a relationship to be able? Shall I write a template of the magic of poetry and its creation, when all sincere, muse-inspired poets already know of its causation? Lobsters and murder-like audiences, blue-veined, unable to run, so we put them in stews alive, and eat them with clever quotes for fun. All of what happens to one happens to all, and strips of my quotes are in our bathroom at the side of the hall. I am always walling myself off in some vacant room or another. 4 corpses that came to me, and then 4 more always had what I was waiting for. It's in the sincerity of their gorgeous, crazy eyes. Look. The lithium diaries, of which I have writ every single page of every security breached bit non-fading devil, room, of, fury, vile eye, and finding love from your evil. Do you despise, like the trauma of being awake or the movement of disabled athletes to glory? Lemons of homeless brothers and sisters everywhere, they who have mansions, but nay, live in the pure land of despair. This is the road to the Buddha. How can you be going anywhere if you are always a noun and a now? Birds of war, they eat the charbroiled remains of humans. For the birds, war is a wonderful day. Be quiet for a short while and the moon is birthed. Closer to the sun than anyone, it is new, and then revolves to become its fullest illumination. The life and death of nothingness without cessation. And tomorrow's blog is a vehicle/source for a light bulb, a blundering meant to be free to choose form in and on wood, pulp and door, a spirit free to choose for my owns and towns here what sort of flesh and blood I please to you, dear, pathless and dangerous, wondering why it takes wars to help along people so rich that they eat the poor. I rot, don't you know, in Camelot, wrapped in a Kevlar blanket. I can make it, the walls grow thicker, and the buildings worn in by the promises of daybreak. That which with night becomes sin, is like a knowledge so heard it can never begin. Rigor churned, why does there have to be? Compare this, if you will, to rules of family. It's all absurd as our celebrations are a filter, a really kind child that takes on all our woes. Shall I write a piece on keeping myself centered with a mandala? Or shall I swing like a pendulum does in an underground Kabbalah? Enter, plead your case. Why does autism reveal itself ultimately as so wise? Looking at the finger for the moon or the blue for the sky? I write this trembling so you will not believe it to be so. To help your mind, let it go of objects so dead that they linger on and on. In water tables, oil deposits, DNA, and prison cells, virgincy is nigh. We are past the middle of the book. By way of writer, heroic, or some wordy crook, did it make you think, make you smile, or disgust? Digest? Did you ever feel the wave, or point to its crest? Were you ever impressed enough to care about its contents? Did you ever sigh or sleep well after reading or hearing its nourishment? Enthymeme is here, and do you know what it is? You see, to gain nourishment and vitality through words, you may have to know what they meant. A pill just sort of does it for you, okay? My writing style is balanced, like a cottage life staid, but with power it usurps and ends up perfectly pitched with the reader's unknown needs. Always the children of winds. Chin, he called them, chin, he said the American dream they had the audacity to call it, and yes, it is alive. But if your dream is to be a poet or a gardener, you may die in pursuit of your dream. If you are lucky, I say die, chin, die, because your dream should be worth it. Lately I pondered this strange thought. It was of a time when a woman looked at a man's smile, and she said that looks insincere, like some forced smile, and he wittingly replied, "Is there any other kind?" It makes me wonder if I missed that or said that, and who I was in the process. Did I smile when I said it or when it was said to me? There is a light that shines in the mouths of booing humans, and because minds and boos are all unique, so the one light is manifested as many different things. From one comes the many, but this doesn't help you when you think your light is right and no others are correctly applied or understood. Look, you have but do not ever speak, the one true light. The problem is that most people do not appreciate the time they have. The more beautiful you are and sumptuous inside, the more life and nature wants you with them, in harmony. But I cannot see that there's nothing in your eye even though there was a giant sty. Because she loved the smell of vanilla beans a bit too much, Boogie Faststone said. Google me. He enjoyed the blues, soul, funk, and rock of all kinds, and the old guard that played nothing but his destiny. And one day he wrote a poem about stepping into a movie house, which played his entire life as temporality, and when he stepped outside he saw the film's complete setting and he realized that what he remembered were scenes that he had edited and used to function. He began to wonder what the cutting room floor looked like in his personal mind, his movie house, but when he tried to play those old tapes back in his mind, he saw they were leaving so much out, just like film. For he then realized that film doesn't see ultraviolet light, cosmic background radiation, and the feelings of another. It has no nuance or character, no past or present. It misses so much more than it captures, as do the eyes. And Boogie cried that day for all he had lost, won, and never known, even though it was all potential and technically available for use. Boogie never lived to see another movie about his life. He died upon giving it his review. Concentrating on all that he had lost did not leave him amused, and so when a clown tried to make him laugh he just cried and said, "I'm abused." And there is a Google entry for that. So what can one do to retrieve the things not seen on the film strip, or digito of one's life? Back in Germany I shook clear the impressions, and here she was, by my side, the one with which I had sexual intimations. I was sitting now in some shadowy and dank coffee house and watched as she had entered the cafe and approached me with concern. "Hey, I found your cell phone at my flat," she said.